Got a question for you this morning. I want you to be honest with me. Have you ever fallen asleep in church during the sermon? I have, and I've got a feeling a large percentage of you have as well. There's a kind of funny story in the Bible about that, and I want to talk about it in your morning cup of inspiration. Not one that this young man probably would be proud of, and it's unfortunate it's the only time he's referred to in the Bible. But I think we can all relate to it. It's in the 20th chapter of Acts. And there's a boy named Eutychus. And interestingly enough, his name means lucky. But Paul was preaching up in the upper level of one of the houses or the buildings. And Eutychus was sitting by an open window, just kind of resting there in the back. And he fell asleep during Paul's preaching, which Paul was preaching, I'm sure, a long time. He falls out of the window 3 stories to his death. Well, everyone, of course, is alarmed, and Paul immediately goes downstairs, goes outside, gets to him, prays for him, brings him back to life. They go back upstairs, and Acts tells us that he continued to preach throughout the night until morning. That's a long sermon. So what's the point of what I'm trying to say today? Is that we can take this picture of this boy and we can put spiritual implications to that, because how many times do we fall asleep during the sermon? How many times does God have a word for us that we're not prepared to hear? Our ears aren't open. We are in a comfort zone. We're sitting in the back of the room. We're not paying a lot of attention because we don't know or think it applies to us. And in reality, God is always speaking to us. But unfortunately, there's times we fall asleep. So can I encourage you this morning, don't be like the boy that fell asleep and went to his death. We can fall asleep spiritually and go to our spiritual death. And if you're there today, God has the grace, He has the power to raise you up just like Paul did that boy and put you back on that spiritual setting and road to be awake, to hear what God wants to speak to you today. So let's not fall asleep. Let's be awake, listen to His voice, and then carry out what He tells us to do today. Hey, God bless. I hope that blessed you today. Thanks for joining me for that morning cup of inspiration, and we'll see you next time.